Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll profile ice sculptor Kim Brewster. But first, joining me now is Todd Melby, an independent producer and reporter and working out in the oil fields in North Dakota. Todd, thanks so much for joining us today.
Sure, you're welcome.
Todd, as we get started, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're originally from.
Sure. I was born in Hettinger, North Dakota, which most viewers probably know is in the southwest corner of the state. My family moved around a bit when I was a kid, but we moved back to North Dakota in high school. So I graduated from Hettinger High School.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So how did you become a freelance sort of independent reporter, producer?
Yeah, well, when I was in Hettinger, my dad owned the Adams County Creamery, but right next to the creamery was KNDC Radio. And so I switched from working at the creamery to KNDC Radio and worked as a DJ while I was in high school, then later went on to a radio DJ career. And then after college, I became a reporter, journalist.
Okay. Well, now, let's start off with kind of what brings you to North Dakota, or maybe back to North Dakota.
Yeah. So I've been living in Minneapolis for most of my adult life, the last 25, 30 years. And as a reporter, I've covered all kinds of topics, everything from the Republican presidential race this year to any number of topics. But I saw this opportunity. There's a project called Local Lore. It's a nationwide program to sort of reinvigorate public media, public radio, public TV. And they had a competition for 10 reporting slots nationwide. And so I proposed to do a series on the oil boom here in North Dakota. And my project was chosen by Local Lore. And so here I am, teaming up with Prairie Public on this project.
Yeah, and just to be, I guess, transparent on this, you as an independent producer were the one that had to apply for the project.
Exactly.
But you had to partner with a public broadcasting station?
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
And you partnered with Prairie Public.
Exactly,
okay.
Right.
And of course, we're excited about the project. We're glad to have somebody out in the oil fields doing more. But then tell us about, how did you put that together and then go after the funding, and why did you see this as a project you wanted to take on?
My sister lives in Hettinger still, and she and her husband's from Tioga, which is, of course, one of the big boom cities. And they kept telling me, you got to go up to Tioga. You got to see this for yourself. There are these things called man camps. This is a great story. And I'm like, wow, man camps, oil. I just had been reading more about it, but I hadn't actually been there myself. So I just knew this was a great story. And so I wrote a proposal and worked hard on it and was eventually chosen.
Well, so how's it going so far? And tell us, when did it start and what's the duration right now of the project?
Sure. It's an 11-month project. It started in March, and during the month of March, I split my time between Bowbells, sort of this quasi-man camp in Bowbells, and then a basement apartment in Williston. And I've since transferred all the way to Williston, living in a couple's house. They're renting me their basement. Housing is super, super tough to find in the boom area. And so I've been meeting people and working in all kinds of stories, interviewing workers and locals and a whole bunch of folks.
Mm-hmm. And the project is set to go through how long?
Yeah, it'll go through January of 2013, so it's an 11-month project.
Now, you mentioned staying some in a man camp. Can you tell us what kind of experience that was like?
Yeah, so I wasn't in a Target Logistics man camp, which is sort of like the classic man camp where you just get a room and then there's a shared bathroom and a shared shower down the hall and meals provided. But I was in this place called Main Street Housing in downtown Bowbells, and Bowbells is north of Stanley, about 40 miles along Highway 8 up near the Canadian border. And the boom hasn't quite reached Bowbells yet. There's activity near there. Anyway, a couple of entrepreneurs in Bowbells opened up this place called Main Street Housing, and it is a place with the bathroom and the showers down the hall, but no food. So it's kind of a quasi-man camp thing.
Okay. Now, have you seen the other man camps in the oil country?
I have.
And what are they like?
Yeah, they're, the one that everybody talks about is the man camp Fit for a King, which somebody said is the one that's owned by Target Logistics in Dunn County near Dickinson. It's super nice, it's super clean. They've got foosball tables, they've got workout facilities, they've got TVs. I don't think all man camps are like that. But if people want to eat at a man camp, you can do it. Right now, the Bakken Buffet, which is near Arnegard, between Watford City and Williston, that's actually open to the public. They're currently going to expand from about 150 beds to, I think, 600 beds. And in the interim, you can go there and eat, pay your $12 and just eat like the guys. And the cool thing about that, you either have to take off your shoes or put on these little blue booties so you don't trudge in all the dirt from the oil fields.
Well, when you said clean, I was wondering, how do you keep it clean?
That's how you do it. Yeah, the blue booties.
So what are your impressions thus far that you've seen in oil country? And that's sort of a broad question.
Right.
But yeah, give us some of your perspective.
Yeah. Well, just by living in Williston and going to the coffee shop and the grocery store, is that everything takes time because there's so many people based on what infrastructure is there. And by infrastructure, I mean like grocery stores and coffee shops. So when you go to Walmart to shop, sometimes there's lots of food and sometimes it's really picked over. But there's almost always a line to pay for the food. And so you've got, these roughnecks or, men in greasers who are going through the self-service checkout and, people are kind of confused and it takes time. Or like if you're in a coffee shop in Williston, like I was a week ago, there's a guy who's like turned his little table at the coffee shop into his office. It's his virtual office, and like he's on the cell phone and he's cutting deals. He's saying, well, you can get this property, but here's the price. And at one point I overheard him say, it's all about making money. And it is. That's what a lot of folks are there for, is to make the money.
Mm-hmm. Now, and I heard you said something about 150 beds to 600 beds. I mean, we hear about the housing and shortage of rooms out there. I mean, that's a significant jump to go from 150 beds to 600 beds.
When in the Target Logistics Man Camp I talked about a while ago, when that first opened, it was 300 beds. And then just a couple months later, there was a tour there with Secretary of the Interior Ken Salazar and the U.S. Senators, and that had jumped to 600 beds, so that had doubled. And so there's just more and more activity.
Okay. Well, how do you tell a story? I mean, from both sides. I guess, you've got environmentalists, you've got the small neighboring communities out there, and I guess some of those are starting to raise a fuss about problems and negative aspects of the oil boom. How are you balancing that?
Well, I'm a reporter, so any story I do, there are multiple viewpoints. It's not just, pro and con, but there are people with nuances and angles. So I just try to talk to as many people from as many walks of life as I can, and that's one of the things this series is doing and will continue to do. So if I talk to an oil worker and he likes it, as a matter of fact, the first story I aired was on two oil workers. One guy is making over $100,000 a year. He loves it. He quit his teaching job. He more than doubled his money. And then somebody else I interviewed, he also came here to work in the oil fields, but he doesn't have as good of a job, and he was living in his trailer with no showers. And he was upset about how much people were charging for rent around Watford City. So one guy loved it, one guy was kind of on the edge and not doing well. Because you get people moving here now, because North Dakota is so booming, you get people moving here from all over the U.S., and some of them don't have jobs lined up. And they try to find work here. I mean, I was in downtown Stanley just a couple of days ago, and just guys were sharing information about who might hire them. Mm-hmm. So you might get paid a lot of money, but where are you going to live? Because that's really the first question people ask me is, where are you living?
Exactly, and that's again, that's what we hear is just the housing shortage. And as you said, we hear that people show up in their cars. Like I say, of course, we say, come to North Dakota, we'll find you a job, but a place to live might be a harder thing.
Right.
With that, it takes a while to build facilities for that. What about that infrastructure? I mean, with the housing and. I mean, that's just such an influx of people. I mean, communities, they can't be keeping up. I mean, it's got to be very difficult to keep up with this.
It's super difficult. At this point, it's almost impossible that they haven't caught up. And I don't know if they will. The question is, I mean, how much housing do you build? How long will the boom last? Those are questions that people really don't know the answers to. I've talked to Tom Rolstad. He's been on your show, and, he said that sometimes it's like, playing darts blind. I mean, I don't think anybody knows for sure.
Yeah. Well, and of course, North Dakota's seen an oil boom before, and some people are still skeptic as to how long this will last, even though experts are saying it's going to last for a long time. But anyway, all that said, tell us about, you talked about some of the people you met, but some of the people you've already interviewed and some of the interesting people maybe you found.
Yeah, well, I met this guy named Bobcat John. He's an itinerant knife seller. He's from Idaho, and he just drives up to North Dakota because the economy is really bad in Idaho. And so when he sells his knives, basically he has a trailer that he hooks up to his pickup, and he opens up the trailer, and he's got hundreds of knives, some that are custom knives that he's actually made and other ones that he's just selling. And they call him Bobcat, or he says, people call me Bobcat because I used to have a pet bobcat. Now I have a pet lynx, so I don't know what they're going to call me now. He's a colorful guy, and oil workers are just, on their break, and they might see his big rig and stop by and look over his knives. And so that was a great story, because here's a guy that's, selling his wares to oil workers, and his name is Bobcat. How much fun is that?
And I remember a couple of rodeo guys you had
right.
roping. Yeah.
Yes, right. And that was also in Newtown. That was at the Cenex truck stop in Newtown, and I was filling my tank up with gas and saw these guys roping right there at the truck stop. And I'm like, wow, that's a great story. I got to go talk to them. And so I, finished filling up as quick as I could, went over there. And these guys were 18 years old. They were stepbrothers, and they just gotten jobs in the oil patch, within the last couple of days. And they were cleaning oil tankers, and they were on a break between jobs, and rodeo enthusiasts. And so they brought out their dummy steer, and they were just practicing their roping.
Yeah, so you run across all types of interesting people. When are your stories on Prairie Public?
Yeah, they're on Mondays on Prairie Public, statewide, during morning edition and All Things Considered. So at about 7:20, 7:30 in the morning, and then later on in the afternoon.
And what about other outlets like a website? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, we're on Facebook, so it's facebook.com/blackgoldboom. And then it's also its own website, blackgoldboom.com. And there's all the stories on the website that people can listen to and watch them and check out photos. But one of the things we're also doing with the website is we've got a section there where people can add their comments. There's an I hate the boom or I love the boom. People can click and share their thoughts about how it's affected their lives personally. And then as I tweet, I'm on Twitter, Todd Melby, I sometimes will add the hashtag I love the boom or the hashtag I hate the boom to certain tweets. And so we encourage anybody who's on Twitter to do the same, and that way we can track that and get folks' input.
Okay, so if people want to follow you, they can.
Absolutely. Okay. Please follow.
We're going back to the individuals coming to North Dakota. Where are they coming from by and large? I guess roughnecks, but all types are coming for different types of jobs. Maybe you said that guys, it's all about making the money. A lot of people are here to make big money and put in long hours in the Bakken.
Yeah, I met people from Texas and Montana, Idaho, Utah, Ohio, Minnesota, Missouri, California, folks from all over. I mean, that's like one of the first questions you ask too, is like, where are you from? Because it's assumed that you're not from here, because it seems as if everybody's from someplace else. So it seems rare to actually meet somebody who's a native North Dakotan. But there is this one thing I did discover. There's this tension between North Dakotans, Montanans, and Texans on oil rigs. There's a truck sticker that I saw on the back of a pickup in Williston. It says, "Welcome to North Dakota. Frankly, we don't give a, what you think where you came from." And the reason they're doing that, apparently, from a roughneck from Montana, he told me, is that Texans come up here and they are trying to tell North Dakotans how to drill and how to do it. And the North Dakotans are saying, well, you perfected it, or rather you invented it, but we perfected it. So there's some good-natured and maybe not so good-natured tension going on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How have you been received by, let's start off with the locals out there that you've met so far?
Great. People are, North Dakotans are welcoming and super nice. So, and I think that continues to be the case. So, people are curious about who I am and what I'm up to, and they're almost always willing to talk. Some people don't want to talk to reporters, which is fine, but lots of folks do.
Now, how about the oil workers? I would assume some of the oil workers probably don't want to give time to reporters.
Right. Well, there was a guy filling up his gas tank in Watford City, and he had 3 stickers on the back of his pickup, and he's from Montana, and I wanted to talk to him about his truck stickers, because one of them said, like, "Born to be a roughneck," and had all these great colorful things. And he would talk to me, but he didn't want me to use his name or the name of the drilling company that he worked for, which is fine. So some people are, want to restrict it a little bit.
But I understand too, you've had the opportunity to be out on the oil rigs, not working with, but basically right around and experiencing what the workers are doing. Yeah,
I've been on 3 rigs, and one of them was on a press tour that was in Dickinson and around that area, and Killdeer. And another one was a woman I met who lives south of Watford City, and she has a rig on her land. And because she's a landowner, she can get access to the rig. So I didn't have to go through official channels to get on that particular rig.
Okay. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, what do you have to go through if it's not a landowner? I mean, you have to go through
But
the
yeah, you'd have to get permission from
Yeah.
the proper sources.
And with that, have you had the opportunity to talk with the oil executives in the industry and gotten their perspective yet?
Not yet, but I want to. Harold Hamm is on my list. He's the CEO of Continental Oil, and they are a big player in the Bakken. And Harold is now number 34 on the richest men in America, men and women in America. So he's number 34 on the Forbes list. And he got that way in large part because of the big play, the big gamble he made on the Bakken. And it paid off for him and his company. He's interesting because he started out on a rig, and now he's CEO. So I do want to talk to Mr. Hamm.
Yeah. And can you talk about exactly where the drilling's going on in North Dakota, and do you see it, or have you had experienced it yet? Because I understand it is creeping farther and farther south near the Badlands, and of course even near the Bismarck area.
Yeah, there was a recent controversy about whether or not to drill on land near Bullion Butte, and so that was a state-owned land, and they were going to issue permits on that. Then the old company that wanted the permits issued, they decided not to. So it was actually that far south, and I think that may continue to be a controversy as far as whether or not to drill near certain fantastic sites in North Dakota, wilderness sites. But anyway, that I think is the big question: is how far south will the drilling go? Will it go as far south as the South Dakota border? So far it hasn't. The area around Hettinger and Bowman seems pretty free right now, but those things could change. Well,
Todd, and as we talk about this project with the local oil and whatever, I mean, are you looking at breaking stories, at human interest stories, at just, what's sort of your focus, or is it all the above?
It's mostly all the above. I'm trying to focus on human interest stories plus perhaps some investigative stories. And then also some breaking news when it happens, though I'm so busy doing other things, probably not so much breaking news. But for example, Prairie Public was first with the Bullion Butte story when the state decided not to issue that permit. We had it before the Bismarck Tribune. So when it happens, we'll do that.
Okay. Could you talk about the impact the booms, had on just Williston alone?
Absolutely. When you live in Williston or you visit Williston, you can just see it and feel it. It's just right there. And the same, I think, goes for Watford City and Newtown and Stanley. But for Williston specifically, which is where I live, I mean, you just feel it and see it. I mean, there are just trucks rumbling through all the time. There's guys in oil, greasers. I went to the bull riding event at the Williston Fairgrounds the other night, and it was full of oil guys. I mean, you just knew it, and nearly every vehicle in the parking lot was a pickup. And it's tough to get stuff. People have told stories about, thinking about buying a car, and they thought about it too long, and bang, the car was gone. I've heard people say that if you want something, buy 3 because it'll be gone if you want it again.
Real quick here, road conditions and traffic out there. I mean, for somebody who'd like to go out and see it, I don't know if it'd be advisable for you to go visit just to do a drive-through, because it's tough to get through there.
It is kind of tough. Yeah, you can do it though. Yeah, you just have to be careful though. I mean, the truck traffic is super intense. But I was in McGregor the other day, and on a dirt road near McGregor, and the people I interviewed complained about how the trucks were having these huge divots on the dirt road because of the heavy weight, and they were worried about their teenage girl's car getting centered because the divots were so huge and the oil trucks were that sort of impactful on the road.
Wow. I wish we had more time, but if people want more information, where can they go? Who can they contact?
Yeah, blackgoldboom.com and or Prairie Public.
Well, we look forward to more of those stories on Prairie Public. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Stay tuned for more. Quite literally, one of the coolest hobbies ever, transforming a 300-pound block of ice into a work of art, culinary arts instructor Kim Brewster uses a chainsaw and various chisels to carve ice into spectacular sculptures for his customers' special events. Here's a profile.
I got into ice originally with my first instructor. It's been 37 years ago probably when I started. The tools and equipment and techniques have certainly changed over the years, from using a handsaw to cut things into chainsaws and routers, and the chisels are a lot nicer. Back then, ice wasn't really available, and I remember going out to the Dilworth train yards, and you went to a big building and they pulled a block of ice out of sawdust that they used to use to cool down the refrigerated cars on the train. So it wasn't always pretty, and it wasn't always the same size. Probably the real thing that forced me into it even heavier is when I interviewed in St. Cloud to teach in the cooking program there, and one of the questions was, can you teach ice carving? I said, well, absolutely. So I had to learn real quick, real fast. There's many technique books out there on new techniques that are available, and so I try and get those and incorporate new techniques that I use today that I probably didn't use 8 years ago. We do make our own ice, and our ice blocks are 20 inches wide by 40 inches high and 10 inches thick. And that's just an industry standard, whether it's here in New York or California or Texas. You will get wet on this ride, and so I do have rubber boots on to keep me a little bit drier. Also, the chaps that I'm wearing are a safety chap that are made out of Kevlar, that if for some reason you'd hit yourself with a chisel or the chain or something, it's going to protect from getting cut. I'll be using the foam earplugs to keep some of that noise blocked out so I can save my hearing a little bit. The ice lift that we have is adjustable to get that up to a height that's safe for carving. And so we'll raise this up a little bit to start with. And now we're ready to begin. The first step is sticking a template on the ice and just taking the tip of the chainsaw and kind of tracing out your pattern. I use a light coated bond paper. If it isn't coated at all and we wet that paper down, it's going to fall apart when we try and pick it up. We always start working from the top of the block. If I take a chunk out down here and another chunk from up here hits here, it breaks away my ice. So I always want to start at the top, work down toward the bottom, and take off unneeded ice that we don't need. We've removed all the excess ice, but now everything is 10 inches thick and there's no three-dimensional to it at all. What has to be taken away now to start shaping it and make it look like something? Once that work is done, then the hand chisels are used to finish shape it. And then after that, additional chisels, V-tools, gouges to put in the accent marks that really catch the light. Actual carving time on most carvings, somewhere between 1 and 2 hours. The last step is then to wash it down with some water to see if you have any imperfections or where you need to trim up, and to get rid of any snow or ice chips, and it really clears it. Back in the freezer, and it's ready for delivery to the customer. Somebody says, can you kind of draw me what you're thinking? And if they go by my drawing, you'd never have me do it. If you wanted a straight line, I'd draw it crooked, and if you want a crooked line, I'd probably draw it straight. I guess I would call it more of a visual artist, that I can see it in there. There's a ton of things that I've carved. For weddings, it can vary from, we want swans, we want hearts, we want lovebirds. The crystal vase is probably the most elegant, but then you get the additional expense for a wedding of putting flowers in, and that's not always so cheap. Functional ice carvings as well. If they'd like to, we'd like something that we can put fresh fruit in. We'd like a punch bowl that we can serve punch out of. We want a clamshell that we can serve shrimp cocktail in. What really helps is being a chef, because I know the problems that are out there. If they're going to use it functionally, do I need to drill some holes so the shrimp doesn't sit in water? Normally I tell people if you've got a wedding or a function and we set it up at 5 or 6 o'clock, it's still going to be there at midnight. The only thing that melts in proportion, the fine details, they won't be as crisp, but you'll be able to tell what it is. I always include what I would call a drip tray. So as the ice melts, it goes through a tubing behind the table that it is set up on and into a 5-gallon pail. It's a fun hobby and I enjoy doing it. The real thing is the wows or the customers looking at it and all the kids coming up and they have to touch it. Whether it's a kid that is 4 years old or a kid that's 85 years old. They all want to touch it, they want to feel it, and is that really ice?
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Funding for Minnesota Legacy programs are provided by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, and by the members of Prairie Public.